Okay, let's talk through all these golf events that you have coming up.
Gabby, I'm glad you asked. Got my calendar right here. July 17th at Red Run, and then July 31st, I have the American Golf Outing for the Cancer Society.
I also have the American Cancer Society golf outing on the 31st, and also I got yours on the 18th, buddy.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
Oh, boys, these are a lot of events and golf outings.
Well, you want me to miss my own golf tournament?
Gabby, they're all great calls.
I mean, this is...
Hold on. I got this. Guys, I got this. Don't worry about it. Hold on a second.
He always...
Hey guys, thanks for coming so fast. How are ya?
Remember the guys from Randy Wise, right? Sir. The Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour.
Watch for the eye.
It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Some of the biggest names in Michigan sports. And some, well, not so much. Brought to you in part by Premier Security Solutions, Fairway Packing Company, and Swiss Insurance. Watch episodes at woodwardsports.com.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Drop that pontoon in, Spenny. Big D energy. Darren McCarty. Lindsay Hunter. Yes, Lindsay Hunter. We got 6 championships up here. You figure out who's got one. In for Neil Rule, as always, joined by Flannel Sam and Spenmo Rex. Big day today. Obviously, Neil, what a nice guy. Lindsay, he gave the people before he went off on his northern excursion for his golf trip. He gave the people a get right yesterday with the Tigers at minus 140 to get the get right to 43-13. He's doing it for the people, so everybody who cashed in, congratulations. Make sure you give Neil his props for that. But today, as you can see from the thumbnail, there's one man, and he's sort of, that's the only comparison I ever want to do between Troy Weaver and Sam Flannel is the Death Star Eyes pitcher. But Troy Weaver's going to cook tonight. Why do I mean that? In Brooklyn, 8 p.m. And NBA draft. There it is. And here we go. Pistons at 5. We got Lindsay in here. He's been there. He's done that. I wanted to just start today recapping, Lindsay, because taking you back, do you remember where your draft was, and do you remember getting drafted and this day? Because I was trying to think back, and I'm just gonna try to stay out of the way, let the basketball guys talk basketball on the future and the excitement of the Pistons. We're gonna have Kool-Aid, Brandon Dent from our Pistons insider guys. He's gonna come in at 11:42, couple segments, just get us ready for basketball next week. Next Wednesday, I'll be cooking NHL draft. But Lindsay, do you take the people back a little bit? Because this was a big day. Now, you got to take yourself back. How many years?
I don't even know.
That's right? Because I just passed 30. This will be 31 for me from when I was drafted, Jeez. 1992.
Dude, we were the same time.
Absolutely, bro. That's why, right? That's why I said anybody who knows me go like Lindsay Hunter is the Chris Draper.
The same time.
He's the Chris Draper of the Pistons back in the day. So where was your draft, and do you remember the day? So like right now, for example, it's 11 a.m. Can you think back and remember what it's like if you being one of these kids getting drafted to your dream?
Yeah, man. 11 a.m. I was actually in the hotel right on Opdyke. Draft was in Detroit.
Draft was in Detroit,
Auburn
guys.
Hills in the Palace.
Wow.
So it was amazing. Like I remember being at the hotel, and my parents and everybody's here. It just the waiting game is the hardest part because there's so much uncertainty. You hear things, you think you know where you're going. But you know how things happen in draft.
Talk about that sort of perspective, right? Because now, years later, or being a champion and being the veteran that you were, but being a young kid, you're being told so many different things. Like if we mentioned him before the show, Victor Wembanyama going first overall, getting showcased, throwing out first pitches, a 7'4" guy standing in the batter's box and doing all these media stuff, getting out there. Do you remember the hustle and bustle like beforehand and different things where you look back and go, that MFer lied to me, right? Like stuff like that, because it goes, this is the time where it really goes on, isn't it?
Yes. So the crazy thing that added to my kind of madness of that day was the fact that I didn't work out for the Pistons. My workout was canceled. So I kind of thought the Pistons weren't drafting me. So I was slotted to go to LA at 12. So that's all I knew. Like, I'm gonna be a Laker at 12. So, you know, I'm walking around all day. I didn't work out for the Pistons. I worked out for everybody else. And so I kind of thought the Pistons were gonna take, I'll tell you exactly who I thought they were gonna take. I thought they were gonna take A.C. Earl from Iowa State and Allen Houston from Tennessee. So I thought those two guys were gonna go ahead of me, and I would be 12 to the Lakers.
Right.
That's how every draft board looked. And I remember, you know, just walking around waiting, my agent having me, you know, talk to different radio shows and stuff like that. And draft night, we're sitting there and I'm watching, you know, Chris Webber get called, Penny Hardaway.
Like the draft pretty much up maybe until you got drafted, but it was going according to what you thought, right?
Yes.
So you're getting more comfortable just waiting till number 12 and the expectations. So you're sitting there, like you said, C-Web goes, Penny goes.
Right, and so I'm watching all the guys go because, you know, we all kind of talked and had met each other or whatever. And then when the Pistons had the 10th pick, the cameras came to me, and I was like, I'm looking at my mom, and she's like, oh, the Pistons are going to, I'm like, no, the Lakers are taking me at 12.
and being a younger guy, you're sort of like lock set on the Lakers now. Right when the Pistons showed, was it like this unbelievable? Was this excitement, like this was a dream come true?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy because, you know, not being in a situation you don't know, you think the cameras are gonna go to potential draft picks. They may go to me, they may go to this guy, they may go to that guy, and okay, one of these guys are gonna get drafted. Who knows? And when the cameras kind of locked in on me, I'm like looking around. Oh, you know.
In wrestling, they call it the hard cam, right? So all the hard cam and every other cam went to you and stuff like that. And there is sort of like, you just get me thinking back, because when I was drafted, it was in Montreal, and I remember, because to your point, right, Detroit had a late first round pick, and I'd interviewed with them and thought it'd gone around, and I thought that that's where I was going to go, because Ottawa had said if I went through the first round, they were going to take me first pick in the second round.
Right.
So it was like when Detroit came, and then you have that disappointment that your name's not called, then it was like, oh man, I'm going to Ottawa. And then Ottawa didn't take me, and Detroit came back up, and then you hear, was it the school, your name? Do you remember when you're sitting there, was it the Detroit Pistons select?
Yep.
Was it from the university?
No, because, you know, my school was small, so they didn't respect it like that. So they were like,
respected enough to take you 10th overall, but not respected enough to name the school.
Yeah, but they named they did name the school. Jackson State, of course.
But did they say Lindsay Hunter first?
Yes, and then everybody was elated except me. I was confused. I was happy. I didn't really know how to feel. I was just like, dang, it happened. You know, it was surreal. So I walked up, you know, shake David Stern's hand, and off to interviews. Did
David Stern not get the bro hug like Goodell does?
Did I hug him? I don't remember. No, I think I just shook his hand. I was too excited. I shook his hand really fast too. It was like, it was real awkward. So, and I remember being rushed off to the back.
Yeah.
And then hearing the Pistons had the next pick, because they had the 10th and 11th pick.
And took out.
They drafted Allen Houston next. And I was like, whoa, two of us, you know?
So at the end, did you think that, you know, where it went down to, because it was sort of like the same play, but they subbed you in, right?
Yep.
And they took Allen and you, and, you know, the rest is sort of history. Right. So how long did it take to sort of sink in? Because because for me, it was that initial, you know, jolt or thrill,
right?
And especially like Detroit, because for me it was Detroit, the team that I grew up with, and just everything that. But I immediately went and looked around to all my family and friends and the people that had got me there. I don't think it was until later that night with a lot of cocktails and libations that I broke down crying and realized that, I ran around. I wore my jersey all through Montreal and run the bar. Yeah, it was like 30 years ago. It was a little different. But, I mean, do you when did it finally sink in?
Well, the crazy part about it, because the draft was here in Detroit, we were, like, taken away. Me and Alan, they snatched us, and we were doing shows and everything. Like, we didn't get to breathe.
Right.
For a long period of time. And I just remember saying, what are we doing tonight? I don't know anything about Detroit. So they kind of hooked us up and had me and Alan they took us all around the city, and it was nonstop until late that night when you could kind of sit down, and I couldn't sleep. So I'm up all night calling my buddies, calling my friends, like, man, can you believe this? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And my parents were there, so they were somewhere else. I don't know where they were. I didn't even see them.
Well, I like how, a matter of fact, your mom, the camera goes, Detroit gonna pick you. You know what I'm saying? She's like, no, it's Detroit. Mama knows best, right?
That's how my mom is. And I'm like, no, they're not. I'm going to L.A.
Yeah.
And we're having this conversation while the cameras are right here, so I'm kind of like, no, I'm going to L.A. No, I'm not.
Which is ironic, because where did you win your second championship and stuff? It was sort of meant to be in your path.
And that whole story was crazy too, because Jerry West, when Jerry West interviewed me, he point blank said, we're drafting you. Like, we're taking you. We're going to get your contract done in 2 days. You'll be moved out to L.A. in a week, and we'll get started to work. Like,
right.
That's what Jerry West said to me. I'm sitting there, and I'm in awe of Jerry West, first of all.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking on the walls, and there's Kareem, there's Magic, there's Worthy, there's Cooper. All of the Laker greats are on the walls, and I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm sitting here in front of Jerry West.
Now, you know what? Jonesy 5182 brings up a great point. Being drafted by the Red Wings over Ottawa, obviously hometown team and stuff was a bonus. But was there any disappointment going to Detroit instead of the Lakers because of where the team was at, or did you look at it like it was you look at it like I did? I know what they need to roll, and I'm going to help this team get to the promised land.
Well, I think the excitement for me was the fact that I was going to play with one of my idols. Like, Isaiah was one of my idols, like small guard that was the best I'd ever seen. So I was like, man, I'm going to play with Isaiah Thomas. Dude, I'm learning from this dude. That
superseded everything, right? You're going to go, and also Lindsay, not only 10th overall pick, but you're under the Isaiah learning tree.
And for me, man, that was like, I looked so forward to that because I just knew how great he was and what kind of a basketball mind that he had, that he still has. And I get to learn from him. Like, I get to pick one of the greatest to ever do it. His brain to figure out the tricks of the trade, and I was elated about that part, and he called me,
yeah,
and I was blown away,
yeah.
Like, dang, Isaiah called, how did he get my phone number? I'm thinking all kind of crazy stuff, and man, I was super excited about that.
No, same.
That was the highest, like, for me, being able to just be associated with Isaiah Thomas was like the highest honor for me, because that's a guy that my dad had always talked about, being a small guard. This is who you have to be like, and
100%, because I was watch Steve Yzerman and be able to hear from him. That was but that was more of the hierarchy. But the fact that I could be Robin to Bob Prober's Batman, that you know what I'm saying? I was get to be around Proby and stuff like that. That was great. One last thing before we go to break and move on. Obviously, you do a lot of stuff with guys and NBA draft guys and stuff like this. Is there, we know physically getting them ready for the NBA, but mentally, is there anything that you share with them about what we tell the guys for their experiences today?
Yes, the biggest thing, man, because I just remember a lot of guys are equipped physically to start their careers. But mentally, it's impossible to prepare them for what they're about to go through. Like, you can talk to them and tell them, hey, this is, by game 42, your entire mind, body, and soul will shut down because you're not used to, college is 30 some odd games. You're 41, you're halfway. You've played a college season and some.
Right.
And as a rookie, you're just not built for that right now.
You haven't experienced it yet.
No, you're going to hit they call it the rookie wall.
Yeah.
Everybody hits the rookie wall, and it's a fact. So when you finally approach it and you start seeing like, man, I just feel crazy. My body's in a different mode right now. But once you go through it and you bounce back, then you're okay.
And it's pretty much a veteran saying, this is what's going to happen.
Yep.
It's okay. We
Yep.
all go through it.
Yep.
Embrace it. I'll be there. And then you got to fight your way through it.
Exactly.
Awesome stuff from Lindsay Hunter. When we come back, we're going to talk draft day. Who's your bet for the Pistons to take it number 5? But first, somebody tell me about the best insurance in the game.
Absolutely, and that is Swiss Insurance, of course. And now that summer's here, it is important to make sure you are properly covered, whether it's a grad party or just a group of people over to enjoy the lake or pool. Your liability exposure increases significantly in summertime. Let the Swiss Insurance Group review your coverage and make sure you are protected from an unexpected loss. Check us out at swissins.com or call Mark today at 248-800-4177. That is 248-800-4177, Swiss Insurance.
Can't get enough Woodward sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
Welcome back, Big D Energy. My main man, Lindsay Hunter, in for Neil O'Rule, Spenmo Rax, Flannel Sam. I am Darren McCarty, and we're talking about big night tonight down in Brookline, New York. NBA draft, your Detroit Pistons, Troy Weaver selecting 5th overall. So let's get to it. Who do you want at 5? Because as Old Man Jenkins says in the WoodwardSports.com chat or anywhere, please, that you find Woodward Sports podcast, Spotify. What are we leaving them, Spenny?
5-star.
5-star review. But Old Man Jenkins says, I honestly don't know what we're going to do tonight. And I think that maybe I'm in the same boat, but that's why we got Lindsay here. We got guys. Is there somebody there at 5, Lindsay, that you expect us to take? Have things changed with the hiring of Monty Williams, or as Troy Weaver so eloquently put, and I will post it to our guy Brandon Dent, Mr. Kool-Aid, that Troy Weaver's looking for the best available guy, right? Not filling a thing. So are we going for best available talent right here? Is that what we're looking for? Is there somebody out there that you like?
Man, in this draft, this one is so different than a lot of drafts because it's just such a, and I'm not going to say it's a fall off as far as what these guys possibly can be, but it's a fall off as far as who we know. Like, because Victor Wembanyama has gotten so much media attention, Scoot Henderson has gotten so much media attention, the kid Brandon Miller has gotten so much media attention. We know those 3 guys are going to be 1, 2, 3. We know Victor's going to be 1. I'm hearing Brandon's going to be 2, and Scoot's going to be 3. So after those 3 guys, man, it's basically what teams think they need. And I just listening to Troy speak about it, he's going to go with what fits for them, and I'm thinking possibly a wing guy that can defend, stretch the floor, maybe.
Well, you're Lindsay Hunter. Like, it's the same thing as I asked you. What do they need? What is your Like if you were the GM, if you were Troy Weaver, being around, and obviously with the big three, who's the guy there that you think that you're going to draft, or is it a position? Is it a position guy, or is it specifically a player?
I think in their situation, because you're young, you're rebuilding. I think it's just what you think that team needs now. And to me, personally, I would go for a wing. You know, a long, rangy wing that can defend and shoot, you know. And there are a lot of those guys that are going to be falling to Detroit.
Right.
So, man, it's going to be tough to see because I don't think everybody after those top three have solidified exactly who they want. I think it'll be a lot of jockeying for positions. I think it'll be trades. I'm hearing a lot of people are talking about trading, you know, for players' assets or whatever, or to switch picks. I'm hearing a lot of that may go on.
So in this draft, because you're telling me now, do you the top three guys that we expect? You mentioned Scoot and Miller and Wembanyama and stuff like this. We expect them to be legitimate NBA pros, and then the rest of the draft, it's more that there's good players, but they're not that star guy. So would this be the draft if Troy Weaver was gonna use it and trade out of it, that this would be the time to do it? Because there's so uncertainty. It's like, to me, when you're talking like this, it means, wow, well, hopefully the Detroit's scouting system has done their job. Like, this sounds like nobody's doing the work for anybody, right? You got to go out and figure out, is this your guy or whatever,
Exactly.
which to me is a good thing because it shows competency.
Right. Well, I think in a draft like this, the exciting part about it is you kind of get a pass, because if you're not drafting in the top three, you're just like everybody else. You're trying to find a guy that, hey, may not project to be a star or NBA or all-star, but if you can get one and he does become an all-star, then you've found what they call a diamond in the rough.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think a lot of teams will be looking that way, and there are a lot of guys that have gotten high grades from certain teams that they think, you know, hey, we think this guy's going to be as good as Brandon Miller, you know, or as good as Scoot. So there are some teams that are going to go after a guy and really believe that he can be a potential star for their team.
Well, I'm going to go to you first, Benny, because everybody who doesn't follow that they should. Woodward heavy rates 5-7 with our boy Spenmo Racks and Easy. You guys are deep into the streets of going to this. So what do the pundits say at 5, and what do you say? Is there a need, a specific player out there that you like? I know that Taylor Hendricks has come up in the past and stuff like this, but where are you at coming down? Because we're, you know, inside of 12 hours from who we're going to pick.
Yeah, so right now these are the odds for who is most likely to go at 5. Asar Thompson's the favorite at -160. Then you got Jarris Walker at +340, Cam Whitmore at +470, Anthony Black at 1100, Amen Thompson at +1600, who I don't think is going to be there. He'll probably go 4, and then Taylor Hendricks at +1600. But I agree with what Lindsay said about you need a rangy wing. You need a guy who can play 3, can play some defense. And it looks like Troy Weaver is leaning towards Asar Thompson because he fits that bill. He is a taller guy. He's 6'6", 6'7", has a 7-foot wingspan. He's a great defender. He's a multiple-time MVP of the Overtime Elite League, multiple-time champion of the Overtime Elite League. You can go out there. He shot, I believe, 33% from 3 last year in the Overtime Elite League, which isn't great, but they use the official NBA three-point line. So it's not like he's shooting college threes. He was shooting NBA threes, and he shot them at a respectable clip. I think that's going to be the pick because of how Troy Weaver said, I'm going for home runs. I'm going for the long ball. I'm not trying to hit bunts or doubles. And that's what he is. He has the most star potential out of these guys. I still love Taylor Hendricks because I think he fits exactly what this team needs. He'd be your 4, he'd be your 3. He reminds me of a Jeremy Grant type player. He's 6'8", 6'9", has a 7'1" wingspan, is one of the best shooters in the draft, shot 40% last year, is a great defender. But I think that they're leaning towards Asar Thompson because of the potential star factor with him.
No, that's and obviously that's the big thing. You know, you nailed right there. Troy Weaver said we're not hitting singles or bunts or whatever. We're not in that position. We need to hit home runs. Anybody who tunes into Woodward Sports Network, the morning Wood, right, with Juicy Jeff Iafredi and our man now Sam Flannel, 8 to 10 a.m. You guys, Eccentric, have covered this on most. Do you have, Sam, you're pretty opinionated. Is there one guy you think that would help this roster, or is there a home run out there for you at 5?
I don't know if there's necessarily a home run. Before I give my pick, Anthony Black being a plus 1,100, that would be the one pick that if Troy Weaver made, I wouldn't be pounding the table, but I would be as close to pounding the table as possible. I don't think he's a good fit here, and he was a 30% three-point shooter last year. My pick would be Taylor Hendricks. Like Spenny said, to me, he is the best 3-and-D wing in this draft. He is the most polished. He shot 39% from 3 last year, is 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan. If you're looking just for a 3-and-D guy to pair well with Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren, I think Taylor Hendricks is the guy because I think his shooting will translate to the NBA kind of in a similar way that Keegan Murray's did last year. And if you're the Detroit Pistons and you get something of a facsimile of Keegan Murray in this draft, I think it's a success. I think the closest thing to that would be Taylor Hendricks. I think he will be able, the shooting will translate seamlessly.
Now, Lindsay, I need to ask you because you would know, and obviously the hiring of Monty Williams, right, which is pro guard centric or whatever like this. Does the hiring just within the last week or whatever, does that change anything in the war room for the Pistons as far as Monty coming in, and could he come in and say, oh, I like this guy or I like this guy because of what they're going to do? Does that stuff really happen that maybe we will hear, oh, we were looking to do sort of this, we hired Monty Williams and we decided to do that?
I think we'll never know. We'll never hear that conversation.
Okay.
But when you hire a guy, especially a high-profile coach like Monty, he's definitely going to have some input on the draft. That absolutely happens. You can think back. I remember my draft coming out, going to work out for different teams, and some of the coaches actually would come in and do things with you. So the coaches absolutely would have some great input on who we take, who we look at, who we want to see work out, all those things.
Yeah, and so I don't know about you guys or anybody else. That makes me feel better, yeah. Right? You know, like just a little bit of, you know, that warm cup of cocoa before you're sitting down that makes you just, you know, feel easy breezy. Is that Monty Williams is in that war room also? You know, they're together with whatever game plan. To me, it's about them staying healthy, and I want to see what we have there. Right. I think I know what we have, right? But it'll be interesting to see what we want. We're gonna stay on the Troy Weaver. Like, how much pressure really does Troy Weaver have going into the draft tonight? But before we do that, make sure everybody gets their workouts in. I know a lot of the guys before the draft are getting their workouts in right now, so you could too. Where would you go, Spenny?
You'd obviously go to Planet Fitness because it's the best gym in the game, and you can get your membership starting at $10 a month. If you want the black card, you can upgrade to $24.99 a month to get use of all amenities. Or if you're a high school student age 14 and 19, you can work out for free all summer long until August 31st, and also get your chance to win a piece of $200,000 that Planet Fitness is giving away. All you have to do is film a TikTok video, tag Planet Fitness, use a couple of hashtags, and you'll be entered for a chance to win. Find more information about that on their website at planetfitness.com, where you can also sign up and figure out what you want to do with your gym life. It's Planet Fitness, where Darren McCarty.
Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
Welcome back. Cruising along here, Big D Energy on this Thirsty Thursday. Darren McCarty and Lindsay Hunter in for Neil Rules, Benmo Rax. Flannel Sam on this NBA draft, getting ready. Coming up around the corner, 8.5 hours. Fifth pick the Detroit Pistons have. Troy Weaver at the helm. How do you feel? Now, that's a question before the break. How much pressure is on Troy Weaver to, Spenny put, nail this draft? Is this say nail this draft, or is this, Lindsay, like you said, more of the setup to the nail? Because when we talk here on Big D Energy and all the basketball guys, no matter what happens in this draft, no matter what happens, we still don't think this team's a playoff team. Right? We don't think we're there yet. So is this the quiet before the storm? Is this like, don't screw up because you got to put the pieces in place? And maybe now, maybe this year, Lindsay Hunter, they need to draft that Lindsay Hunter guy, right? That the guy in the room, the guy that makes them go. Obviously, whether it's a wing or whatever, but how much pressure to you is on Troy Weaver to nail this draft?
Well, I don't think there's much pressure because, you know, like we were talking about earlier, pressure comes when you draft a guy that's supposed to be a lock. Like when you got a guy that's supposed to be a generational player, you know, I can think back when Philadelphia took Sean Bradley at 2 over Penny Hardaway. You know, so Sean was really good and played a long time, but he wasn't Penny Hardaway.
Right.
You know, so
and argument, different positions,
Yeah,
different
different
size guys. So on that front, a lot of times it's sort of like you said, that diamond. Is this the diamond in the rough draft?
I absolutely think so.
So this is the one that, so there's no pressure because Troy Weaver's sort of out there digging for gold. Right, digging for gold. Now, he's got great equipment. He's got a great team around him. Right. But are they going to find that player? So it's sort of that, for lack of a better term, that nugget, that second round Jokic. Right. You know, like, I mean, that's shooting for the sky, but you need a guy like, you really, if you drafted a guy and say it's a wing or whatever, but this guy who's a legitimate NBA player for 10 years, then that's a win.
That's a win.
No matter if he's here, if he's not, or whatever, but an NBA caliber 10-year guy.
And that's what you're looking for. You're of course you want him to maximize his ability to be as great as he can be, but if you find a guy that's a starter, fringe player, then you've done a good job.
So again, maybe are we setting ourselves up that this might be drafting to potential, or to drafting to something that like, I want to hear if we draft and if you guys are like, oh, I didn't see him coming, or I like this guy, but then Troy Weaver or Monty comes out and said, well, we drafted him because we like this in him. As opposed to because he does these 5 things well, and he has to do this. But this guy, he's this type of player.
Well, D-Mac, I think the draft has solely become a potential draft. Like, it used to be because you saw more of guys. Guys went to school more, and so you knew kind of what they were bringing to the table. There were certain things that you could see a guy play 4 years in college or 3 years in college, and you go, oh, he can do this. This will translate. He has to work on this. But now, because guys are so young, you go, guys are going to the G League, or guys are going, you know, to college for 1 year. So now you are solely drafting on potentially he could be this. I'm looking at his talent and his skill set. That potentially can translate. We know with Brandon Miller, with his size and his shooting ability, that should translate. You know, Scoot Henderson, athletic freak. 6'3" guard that can run and jump like Westbrook. That should translate. And we watched him in the G League for 2 years. He was the youngest player in the G League at 17.
Which, when you're saying that, I'm understanding you give him more credibility because of playing 2 years with men.
Yes.
With men, with NBA rules and stuff like this. You can't teach that. Hey, Sam, I would be remiss because I got to give Brandon Katz credit because earlier on when we were talking about Lindsay's draft, he did say it's different than it was 30 years ago because now you're drafting. You nailed it. Drafted 18, 19-year-olds. This is like a potential draft.
Yes.
Right? So this is a pre-draft to the pre-draft, which goes back to what Neil always says, and the NBA and the NHL, it's changed where it's the restricted free agent, and you got to go out and find that contract. It's sort of weird because in hockey it's the same way. We're coming into the draft next week, and when we talking about the NHL, is like Steve Yzerman going to make a trade for a restricted guy, a la what Florida did last year.
Right.
So the game has changed. So it's more on the potential of the potential, other than what, 3 guys at the top. Can you say that? Can any of you, Spenny, can you say that about any of the other guys past number 3?
I think Eamon Thompson is a lock. Like, he'll transit because they say he's a freak athlete, and the way he can get to the hole, the way he can distribute and make plays, be a playmaker. I think he is also up there with those guys, but it's he's in the overtime elite league. He wasn't playing against grown men and stuff like that, so there are little hesitations. But I think he will also be a guy that is like he's going to be a stud.
So, Lindsay, let me go back to this. Because you said this earlier about the rookie wall because of playing 37 games or 41 games or whatever like that. You went through it, and you played a college career. How, and you experienced it, right? So it wasn't until then your sophomore season, your second year, that you were ready to prepare for that. Is it fair to say that some of these kids, because they're only coming out one and done so early, it takes them 2 and 3 years to figure it out? Is that what we're seeing, and it's more of the delayed development? Yeah, you're going to sign. It's almost like Premier League soccer where they're signing these 14, 15-year-olds and waiting for them to mature till they're in their 20, like that, just to get them under realm. Is that what's happening here? So maybe as a fan, when we have some of these younger guys, the Durans, the Cades, the Ivies, let's relax a little bit. And
you have to tailor your expectations.
Is that one of the biggest changes that I don't like? We talk about it, but to understand the gravity, it's such a younger game.
Right. And see, and I think people don't understand how much of a transition it is, because you can look back and you can look back at LeBron James, for instance. He was coming out of high school. His body was pro ready at 18, 19.
And you look at still compared to what it turned into.
Right.
You look at that little pipsqueak.
Right. But as freakish of an athlete and with the IQ that LeBron, and he had an unbelievable rookie year. He had a great rookie season, but still wasn't able to get to the point where he could get his team to the playoffs for like 2 years, And that's an all-time great. The only guy in this draft that they're potentially saying is going to be that way is Victor. So you still have to tailor your expectations, regardless of how great we think these guys are going to be. None of them, and I think we all will agree, none of these guys, with the exception of Victor, is going to be in the LeBron realm, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
But who is in the LeBron realm, right?
But that's
Sam?
my point. And it took LeBron,
it took LeBron time to get to the LeBron realm.
Yes. So just imagine what it's going to take for some of these other guys, So I think the best thing for a lot of them is to come to a team that's already established. If you can get drafted, to a playoff team or a borderline playoff team, and you can come and fit in, and they put you in a role,
Absolutely.
You can really develop that way. And I think we've watched that happen with several teams. If you can be a plug-and-play guy early on in your career, and then you develop, you watch Cam Thomas at when he was at Phoenix. Similar situation. He was a plug-and-play guy with Chris Paul and Devin Booker. So those guys developed, got better every year. You know, now they're guys that are looking to cash in on their developments.
No, and that's the big thing too, right? Because and that's where you have to look at also with Victor. But that's where the argument to a Scoot being able to have played against the men to be developed. So you would expect that if drafts him, his top rookie wall will probably, if anybody's non-existent, it would be him. And there's always an outlier to that, isn't it? But usually it takes a year, and now it takes a couple more. That's not out of the realm.
Right, absolutely. And you know, when we talk about these guys, the competition they played against, Victor Wembanyama has been playing against pros his whole life.
Right.
You know, sort of like Jokic, sort of like, you know, all the other international players, they've always played against pros. So the physicality they're used to.
Now you're a great one because you've played against some, obviously the greatest talent and seen some big guys. Like, is Wembanyama, what is your take? Is he going to be the guy that is expected, or is it, to me, it's like, you mentioned Sean Bradley. He was 7'2", and now Wembanyama's bigger, whatever, like this. I mean, like more bulk on the frame and stuff like this, but do you expect him to be what everybody says he is, or you still got to see him play in the league?
Well, here's the thing that impressed me about him, because I've watched, you know, I started watching him last year, and one thing that's consistent about him, well, there are a few things that every time I watch him play, he does it consistently without a problem. He's a natural shot blocker. He naturally can meet you at the rim and deter your shot or block it. He's a tremendous ball handler, like not just occasional. He is a natural ball handler.
Like as far as like Jokic, like he's big like man Jokic. bringing up the floor.
He's that comfortable with the ball.
That blows me away.
He's got better handles than Jokic.
He's got better handles than Jokic.
Yes.
And that's from a
sure.
Jokic slap.
For sure. And now, I know he's only shooting, 27% from the three right now, something like that. Mm-hmm. But that'll change because I know he's going to get to work on it a lot more. And his shot is not broken. Like, his shot is really good.
It's almost there, a couple tweaks. But how, and until, think about it, has he had to develop that in the European game or whatever? No, it's more down low in the NBA game. So, what, a year, maybe 2 years he's been trying to develop it?
I mean, and he shoots free throws well, so his shot is not broken. It's not
and that's the outlier, right? For the big man that has a silky, like, I've seen his free throw, and he looks like a guy who's 6'4".
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, we normally say bigs, it takes bigs a little longer to develop and to find themselves. But I don't consider him just a typical big.
Right.
Because just the things that he can do, the way he moves. I've watched him bring the ball up the court against pressure. And he brings it up. It doesn't bother him.
And that's spoken from the guys. That's from Lindsay Hunter, one of the best bring up the ball guys, break the trap, whatever like this, to whatever, giving him his props. Anyways, we're going to dive deeper. Yes, deeper into the NBA draft. Our boy Brandon Dent. Yes, Kool-Aid from Pistons Talk will be joining us when we come back from break. But let's first hear what's going on, Sam, with Randy Wise.
Oh, everything is going on, because what could be better than watching celebrities like Braylon and our very own Darren McCarty play golf? Playing golf yourself and being treated like a celebrity, that's what. Stop in any Randy Wise dealership for your chance to play golf like a celebrity. VIP transportation, free golf to one of Michigan's best tracks, and a tasty steak after compliments of Fairway Packing Company. Make the wise decision and get to Randy Wise today for your chance to win.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
Big Boy Strawberry Fest has officially arrived, and we're here to show you the very best flavors of the season. Satisfy your sweet tooth with our deep-fried vanilla Oreos, strawberry hot fudge cake, and a slice of our classic strawberry pie. But that's not all. Cool off on a refreshing summer splash salad, or savor the flavors of our chicken Caesar wrap and strawberry bacon chicken wrap. And for breakfast lovers, don't miss out on our strawberry hotcakes or our mouth-watering red velvet waffle. Strawberry Fest is something for everyone. Celebrate the sweet season with us at Big Boy.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Wow, just flying around here on the pontoon today. Big D Energy, Darren McCarty, Lindsay Hunter, in for Neil Rule, Flannel Sam, Spanmo Rax. And without further ado on this NBA Draft Thursday, I bring in our Pistons talk, our man on the streets with the Detroit Pistons, Brandon Kool-Aid Dent. What up, Kool-Aid? How you doing, brother? Big day for you.
Appreciate that welcome. It is a big day. We are excited for the Detroit Pistons draft. And honestly, I couldn't be more excited to talk about it with Lindsay Hunter, man. Look, somebody that I've talked about a lot. I remember when we first started the Woodward Pistons podcast, we started looking through the Detroit Pistons of old to try and figure out what this restoration was. And when we looked at the playoff stats, whose name is littered all throughout that, man?
Lindsay.
I mean, we were looking at the points, the shooting, the steals. We were like, come on, man.
Playoffs is the game, right, Linz?
Yeah, that's
playoffs is the showtime when the lights are on.
I tell guys all the time, I'm like, man, you make your money in the playoffs.
Yeah, dude, but
you can have a regular.
We guys like ourselves, you know, we do the stats book by championships, right?
There you go.
Like, right?
There you go.
Some other people, like Sam Flannel, they like stats.
Yeah, well, you know.
And you know what they say? Stats are for losers. That's it. He's gone. Anyways, big night tonight. It's, you know, come down to it. Obviously, a lot of big things, you know, last few weeks, Monty Williams being hired. But it's time for Troy Weaver to shine. I think I'm going to pose the first question that we just talked to Lindsay about. Is there pressure on Troy Weaver this draft, or what is the pressure for him to come away with?
There's definitely pressure, but I think he's given himself the best opportunity to make a mistake or to get this thing right if something doesn't go right early on. He has assets, he has cap space, he has tradable pieces, he has number 5, he has number 31, and based on the way he was talking at the pre-draft press conference, I think he's going to get busy. I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple picks in his first round.
No, that's always interesting to see. So obviously number 5.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, and I've watched the chat thread argue about we got a protected pick with the beef stew to the Knicks next year to move it around. Okay. But there is room to maneuver if he wants out of it.
Yeah.
Do you expect, is this more of a, from what you hear, who is the guy? Do you have a name, or is it like Lindsay said, after the first 3 guys, it's more like you got to find your guy?
I agree with that. That's been kind of the talk with Jeff as well. Like, who is their guy, and pick that guy at 5. If you're saying that from 5 to 9, all these guys are kind of the same height, the same, you know, similar positions and things of that nature. Find the guy that you think can take your team to the next level, that you think is going to mesh. You know, Troy talks a lot about the culture, the on and off, the in the community. If you think that these are your wings at that 6'8", find your guy. I'm having a little bit of a hard time trying to peg exactly which one of these players it is, because there's so much smoke, so much more like now than it was even a week ago.
Right.
A week ago, I was like, it's Jarris Walker. Now, you're hearing all this noise about Asar Thompson. You're hearing noise about, you know, Taylor Hendricks.
Yeah.
I'm even starting to hear noise about Anthony Black is not going to go lower than 8. So this draft is already starting to sound like it's going to get crazy. And Troy Weaver, you got to get this pick right, but I think he's made it easy on himself to kind of get this pick right.
What is your opinion, like, as far as time frame, right, to be able to get this right or whatever? Because when we talk here on Big D Energy and Neil and stuff like that, is that, you know, Pistons, they're still not a playoff team, even no matter who they draft, and they've still got a few more moves to make. I guess what it is, for me, it's them to be healthy and play together. But what is, you know, is it something that Monty Williams, you look to see a Monty Williams team and to see, okay, the way that he used, the big men, the pick and roll, the how he's going to play this team. So if there's not one guy there, I need a couple names. Like I need a name. Do you have any gut feeling, or are we just sort of flying by the seat of our pants and just going with whatever's out there?
Man, listen, this free agency and whatever they decide to do to move forward, I'm almost seeing like it's going to be something we haven't heard yet, similar to Troy Weaver in the past. Just because like already we're seeing like Chris Middleton, he just declined his player option. I think someone else did. 40 million. What?
That's what I said.
What? Like, can we talk about that for a second? I didn't even know if we could bring that up on the show today, but I was just like,
say it again.
Chris Middleton declined his player option. Like, there are new free agents now.
$40 million.
$40 million.
$50 million. Right. Right? Everybody cuts themselves. Poor Lindsay almost had a heart attack. And all this shit. But Lindsay, here's the thing. When we look at each other,
40, man.
Why? It's preposterous to turn that down. But why could he? Because somebody's going to offer him more.
Maybe, but he's been injured.
Ooh.
But that's what he's getting the information. Right?
You know what he heard?
And it doesn't. No.
Totally agree.
You and I. Are you kidding me? You couldn't get. I'm like, blood. You need that signed in blood. You want my fair? This ain't my shooter, Peaky. You can have that one.
Right.
But that's what it is. And maybe you brought up a point. Do you look at in this draft, and can we look to free agency and sort of match up a free agent, somebody we go after with somebody who we draft, right? Because the big thing right now, and you've made it apparent in the first half hour or whatever, this is sort of the cooking time in the oven. The ingredients are in, right? He's got his meats, his cheeses, and his potatoes, right? And the Ivies, the Durans, and the Cunninghams. Now, we're going to throw some cheese, but we got to let it cook, and we got to add to this. So who's the best to the future? Is there a 10? So this is what I would ask you. Of any of these guys that we've mentioned or have been mentioned at 5, do you see them not as the world breaker, but the solid 10-year guy?
I'm sold on Jarris Walker and Taylor Hendricks. I like those picks.
And why?
Because I think that they're the best two-way players that you can get. This team suffered on defense. When Jeremy Grant left, it wasn't like they were world beaters with him, but they were much better, much more competitive. That second half of Cage's rookie season, they were kind of going toe-to-toe with teams. When they lost that, Bojan did well on the three-point side of things, on offense, but the defense, it plummeted to like the worst. I want to see them go out there and get somebody who's going to get after it and kind of has that dog in them. Not just a good defensive player, but I mean, it's kind of cut from that same cloth that we see Isaiah Stewart cut from. So we don't have many of those guys on the roster.
And I totally agree with what you're saying, but
they're called dogs.
Also, you're going to see a change, even if the team doesn't change personnel-wise that much. Monty's going to bring a different defensive approach. Trust me. It won't be like last year. It's going to be guys held accountable. It's going to be guys, I'm demanding certain things from you.
I like that.
And because, hey, they just gave me $70 million, so I ain't going nowhere. You're going to do what I need you to do for us to be successful defensively. And offensively, you're going to see a different pace. And I don't mean, a Warriors pace where they're coming down jacking threes, but the ball isn't going to stick as much as it did for us this past season. Guys are going to make quick decisions and going to have to do something with it right away. And I think he's going to definitely, those are the things that his fingerprints are going to leave on this new Pistons team.
I'm glad you said that, because seeing the Pistons kind of up their speed, up their athleticism, I didn't see as many like backdoor cuts and lobs and like on the opposite side, get that movement going, have your center set a pick for Ivy. We didn't really see a lot of that stuff.
Well, Kool-Aid, it's hard to see those things when you're constantly taking the ball out of the nets. You can't,
Fair enough.
When you're giving up, I think we were almost dead last defensively, right?
Yeah.
Where we ranked,
it was like us and the Spurs,
30?
man. It was like us and the Spurs competing all season.
It's tough. Like, people don't understand. When you're constantly getting that ball and taking it out, you're not going to see those type of plays. Now, you watch the better defensive teams, the teams that create turnovers, then you see fast break points go
Yeah,
up.
You would know.
It only makes
You
sense.
would know.
Mismatch, loose
Lindsay would
ball,
know.
stuff like this. When you give anybody a chance to get 5 guys back,
Exactly.
you can't get around them.
No.
And stuff. I guess my question, Kool-Aid, is, do you have? Like, I want to sit here tomorrow. I want to come in tomorrow, and I want to see you coming in the back, and you guys are like fired up. Is there a way to be like? Is there something that the draft can? Is it a trade? Is it making moves? What?
I think a trade. Yeah, look, Troy, he keeps hinting at this notion of getting busy in the first round and really doing whatever he has to do to make sure that the team moves forward, even if that is a trade. He talked about that. They're not shying away from anything. He said they have all options kind of panned out. They're ready for what the teams in front of them will do. He said that they're completely ready. And when we kind of, picked at him some more, he kind of, gave in to the fact that, there's some guys kind of down in that first round, just like his first year when he took Isaiah Stewart and Sadiq Bey, just like when he kind of saw the potential with Jalen Duren at 13. If he sees one of those guys, he's going to trade back in, just from the basketball of it all, from the business of it all. You don't necessarily want to replace your players on the team, but if you're talking about getting better and you're looking at the contracts that are coming due for certain guys like Killian and Isaiah Stewart and such, if you feel like there's a younger player who can give you similar off the bench, that might be the way to go, especially when you're looking at these margins with the contracts, looking at trying to make sure you can go out in the free agency with as much money as you possibly can. I wouldn't be surprised, man. If he comes away with 2 or 3 first-round picks again, I'm going to be ecstatic because I know it's going to be instant depth. There's a lot of guys that I think can fill a role. They might not be stars, but they need depth and they need defense. And I think that they can do that in this draft.
Is it fair to say that this might be like the depth draft with a lot of these guys that we see, you're going to see on this champ? Like if we saw the Nuggets just won and then you say, oh, there's a couple dudes later first rounders or that move their way and like NBA guys, but they're you got Wembayama and you give Scoot his props and Miller, whatever like that, but the rest of them, like we're just sort of throwing them away like they're like free agents or undrafted free agents. And no, they got skill and they're going to add to a team and going to be a great player and stuff like that. I think that's what we're going to look back to 2023 draft and go, man, that was, the engine room was built in a lot of these teams through that.
The depth part, because they've already drafted Cade number 1. They drafted Ivy, and they said that they would have drafted Duren as high as number 5. He said that what Duren was like, definitely Darren and Ivy were both in their top 5 on their draft board. Right. So it's like, build around these guys. If those are the guys, let's see them go out there and get it done. I know Cade had the injury last year, but I'm looking for him to come back. There's too many stars in the league that talk good about him. There's other NBA players and just scouts that are like, yo, that guy has something special. And like Troy said, let's get him on the court. Let's see what we have. Let's assess. And that's why I'm thinking, unless there's like an absolute just drop dead deal that they have to take for like a star, I think that this is a draft more about depth and going and get your guy. If you see your guy at 5, just go ahead and get him because you have the capital to be able to draft right back in, trade right back in to that first round if you need to. Right. Definitely.
What do you guys got going on tonight for the draft?
Hey, 7:32 night. Jeff, Terry Foster, myself, and our Woodward Pistons crew, other guests, Woodward Sports Network personalities, man. We're getting together to have and host the NBA Draft Watch Party tonight. We're going to have some fun in here. We're going to also have the Lions Den over here packed full of people. We're talking about having the V-Mix on so you guys can see the interactions of all of our personalities and guests that show up. But we're ready, man. We're locked in. We're excited. Honestly, we're hoping that it's fireworks tonight. we're just hoping that Troy just goes crazy and we're running around here giving Terry Foster a hard time. He tries to keep us from having like the bottles and he says the panties and everything thrown all over when we get too excited. I'm like, Terry, my parents watch this stream, but we're going to have some fun tonight, man.
Yeah, but it's about the destinations and oasis. This is about the journey and it's about the enjoy. So, so everybody check out Woodward Sports tonight, 7:30. If you have libations, you might have Spenny stick around after Woodward.
Hey, no, we always need the heavies there, man.
Absolutely. So check it out. Thank you, B.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you. It'll be an exciting time. When we come back, I want to break into Lindsay's head a little bit because I think it's time maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, but it's time to throw on a clock for the Pistons. We'll talk about that when we come back.
First, let me tell you guys about SMA, or the Sports Marketing Agency, because the Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. So if you or someone you know is struggling, make sure you head to thesportsma.com and get the help you deserve.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Big D Energy, yes. Thank you to Brandon Kool-Aid Dent. You can catch him tonight with all the Pistons stock guy doing hopefully the live stream for the NBA draft here, Woodward Sports Network. That all starts 7:30 p.m. Uncle Terry's going to be there, Juicy Jeff, a lot of the peeps. So join in, talking NBA, see who the Pistons pick. At number 5, Lindsay Hunter, or trade away Darren McCarty, Lindsay Hunter in for Neil Rule, Sam Flannel, Spenmo Rax here on Thursday. I mentioned clock because I have a tendency. What do I say all the time? You got my nobody has it?
I got it.
You got it?
I got it.
Just to bring put my clock into your mouth. Exactly. Keep your clock out of my mouth or put it in your mouth, whatever it is. Because it's almost time, and you don't do it on the draft day, but in the next few weeks to stick the Pistons clock up. Now, right now, 82-game season, I got to give it 164, meaning 2 seasons. After next year, then, and that's just the playoffs, right? I just start the playoff.
Right.
In fact, so you know, Lindsay, that the Red Wing clock ran out at the end of last year. It is playoffs or bust, or I will have Steve Eiserman's head. Mark my words. He knows it. You know it. We all know it. But as far as the Pistons, is if they're showing, and they've already shown from ownership, Tom Gores, and spending the money to hire arguably the best younger coach that's going to be here. You know, I love how he did it. You know, and I love Monty Williams saying, listen, I could not turn away the bet, right? Monty Williams is not Chris Middleton, right? And saying you made it hard, which also makes it's my way or the highway moving forward.
Me and his money.
You still got to give them time. For me, this team hasn't played together.
Nope.
This core has not. We don't even, can you tell me what this core looks like on the floor together?
We've never seen them.
I ask you, and you say I'll get back to you. Incomplete. So I'm willing to give them this season, hopefully, because number one is I want to see a healthy Cade Cunningham, and I want to see that first year. I want to see that first overall pick. I want to see how his maturation during his going into his rookie season and into the wall, and the way that he persevered through, because that's the maturity where you see these guys. So is it fair to say that this year, let the chips fall where they may, you see the improvement, you see these guys coming, and then in 2 years, maybe, so it could arguably be sooner than 164 games. It could be only one season. But am I close, or where would you have this as far as where you putting this team playoff-wise?
So I think I'm looking at it a little different, because I expect the Pistons this year to be fighting for a play-in or 8th seed, possibly 7th seed. I honestly can see them fighting for that this year. If they're healthy, if Cade's healthy, and everybody else is kind of stays healthy, our main core guys, I can see us fighting for a playoff spot, fighting for a play-in spot. I actually can see that, because just watching the team last year, playing with you know, a lot of journeymen and a lot of guys that probably won't be back. But watching Ivy develop, watching Darren develop, you know, I think with Cade and with the pieces we have right now, not even including the draft pick, you know, we should be a team knocking on the door this year for the playoffs.
And so let me take that back. Is that because of the expectations, because of Monty Williams? And because
absolutely.
when you have a new coach and when you have a former player of the year coach and coming in, that sets a fire in the locker room also too. So not only the talented guys, but if you have that culture which you're creating, the expectations, right? And
yes.
And so from you and I, right, which we are defense centric first,
yes,
right? That's how I believe we'll see if it's working, by how they play away from the ball, from the fact that if there are, like Kool-Aid said, do we see those fast break lobs, dunks, alley-oops, not, as you said, taking it out of the basket and letting everybody, right? Is that the first, would that be the first sign to look for?
Absolutely.
Because that's what, I mean, it's a loaded question because we're built the same way.
Right.
As far as where do you see the improvement? It's the same thing in hockey as in goals against, keeping the puck out of your net.
Right. And I always do this. I always ask people, because I just want to see what perception people have about a certain team. If I ask Spinmo, what defensive stamp did the Pistons have this past season? What was something you can look at and say, oh, I recognize they do this every time?
Give up
Let
points.
people score.
Flannel, what would you say, Flannel? You watched games. Tell me something you saw besides letting other teams score that defensively you're like, oh, this is how they do. Oh, this is how they play guard pick and roll. This is how they guard post ups. This is how they guard pin downs.
I don't know about anything systemically. I mean, I was impressed with Jalen Duren's defensive development, if that counts
That's
for anything.
individually.
Yeah, right.
I know.
Yeah.
Inbound pass. The old inbound pass. Which me, right? But no, like, did you?
So here's the thing. In just asking those two guys, there was no defensive identity.
Mm-hmm.
There was no identity. So when I look at teams, I can tell you, when I watch Miami Heat play, I know exactly what they're doing on side pick and roll. I know what they're doing in middle pick and rolls. I know what they're doing on pin downs. I know what they're doing on post-ups. And I don't even know them, but I can look at them and I can tell you, watching them play, wow, this is what they do in this situation. This is what they're...
And to the point about, is that a Spoelstra thing? Is that because of Miami Spoelstra? Is that
absolutely
right? So
absolutely.
So the Spoelstra,
and we call them as a head coach, non-negotiables. These are things we don't negotiate. You're going to do these set of rules every single time, and if you don't, there'll be...
It's the same thing in hockey. If the puck comes along my wall, it is getting out 100%. I don't get that puck out, I might not be back on the ice. The non-negotiables. And so last year, there was no there might have been talked about, but there wasn't implemented. And Lindsay, I know the answer to this, but even in the championships you won, but the organizations, what's the first thing that is beat down your throat? Is it where to hit your 3-point or where to come off?
No.
What's the things in training camp or from day one on championship teams that is beating your head until you're like bleeding out your ears?
So we were so programmed defensively, like how we guarded the ball. We knew exactly how we were going to guard pick and roll. We knew exactly how we were going to help off the post if we had a guy that could score in the post. I mean, we knew everything probably better than our coaches did.
Yeah.
So there was never a time on the court when we were second guessing ourselves. We knew.
And you knew where whoever it may be, you knew automatically where, and that's the synergy when I tell people about the grind line. Chris Draper, Kirk Maltby and Joey when he was in there, is that we were all on one brain wave.
And
I never thought. It's just I know where he is.
I knew if a guard was driving down the lane and Ben left to go block his shot, my job was to take his man off the boards.
And you took more pride in having your boys back and covering his ass, right? Because that's not your guy, but it's like, I got your 6.
Because the worst thing to do to Ben or Rasheed is if he goes to block a shot, especially if it's your guy, he's going to block, and he just say he blocks it and then rebound. Oh, he's pissed.
Oh,
he's pissed.
Right, but accountability to your guy, and the same thing when you come back and do that, and you got his back, he's gonna go harder.
It's gonna go harder
every single time. I love it. Talking NBA, we're gonna make a switch. We gotta get Lindsay here. We gotta talk Lions. You cannot talk Lions, and we're gonna talk one of our favorite
Super Bowl.
Ross Ape. There, you heard it right here. We'll elaborate, but first, how would you like to win not one but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win, courtesy of Les Stanford, Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Just cruising right along here, Big D Energy on a Thursday. Lindsay Hunter in for Neil Road, Darren McCarty, Sam Flannel, Spenmo, Rack Sense, Kool-Aid, Brandon Dent. Join us, Pistons Talk. You can catch Woodward Sports. Uncle Terry Foster in the house with Juicy Jeff and everybody else. Got a little party 7:30 tonight. After you check out Woodward Heavyweights from 5 to 7. So just keep it on woodwardsports.com or on the YouTube, wherever you watch it. Make sure that if you check out the Spotify, you go back, you rewind. What did he leave them, Spenny? How many?
Star.
5. Give him a 5. Put 5 on it. Tell Sam Flannel he sucks. You love Spenny. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Speaking of not sucking, Detroit Lions. How excited are you for this season, bud?
Man, look.
Tell the people, because you got to understand, and this is like long time coming, but I want to get, this is Lindsay Hunter breaking down his feelings in this June, going into this 2023 Lions.
So I'm super excited because I feel the excitement. We all feel the excitement. Everybody's talking about, the Lions finally breaking through, right? We're talking about winning the division. We're talking about winning a playoff game. But I'm more or less, I want to see the fans talk about Super Bowls. Like, if you really believe in your team, you'd be really talking about, hey, man, we going to the Super Bowl. Look, I cannot stand the Dallas Cowboys. But one thing I respect about the Cowboy fans, every year they talk about the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Every damn year. And they never get there. But every year they come right back and say what?
This is
Cowboys to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How about them Cowboys? And they do nothing. But they do believe.
So Lindsay, I'm just, right? Okay. Do we not have to win a playoff game before we talk about the Super Bowl? I mean, like,
just go all in.
I'm
go all in.
I get it. Now it's like I'm having a conversation with my wife because she's the same way every year. She's like, it's Lions Super Bowl. Like, no, but isn't it? So you don't care about the jinx factor or anything like that? You're saying
so if
dousing the Kool-Aid, drinking the Kool-Aid, let's go.
Bro,
so the NFC North ain't good enough, and the reasonable expectations, might as well just let's go butt naked and just start streaking down. Let's do it. Everybody's doing it.
Look, why not? Like, you haven't won a Super Bowl ever, so what is it going to hurt to say, you know what? Hell, we got
But then aren't we just the Dallas Cowboys and a joke? See, I think that the fact is that we're going to be respected more very soon than the Cowboys who keep doing cowboy things that we don't take seriously because here's the thing, and in all seriousness, what's happening in Allen Park with the Lions is legit.
So here, that's even
right. Which I'm not poo-pooing your idea or whatever. I'm just tempering, but in all likelihood, because it is that you're not out of line to say that. And as my friend, to even say that, I can get with you.
Right.
I'm not going to go that hard because there's got to be steps to this.
But D-Mac.
But I love what you're saying. I mean, hey, Spenny, I think it's a chat poll. Who's with Lindsay that fuck it and you know what, Super Bowl or bust?
Yes.
Because you're not saying it's a pipe dream. You're saying that it is realistic.
If you legitimately believe that what they're building and what Dan Campbell is preaching is true, if you believe that the foundation they have is real, then why wouldn't you say, hey, we should be playing in the Super Bowl? Like, why shouldn't you say it if you really believe that what you have has substance?
Stop not scared.
I can't, because as a competitor, when I played 1,000 years ago, every year we prepared to win the championship. Like, it wasn't like, oh, we're going to make the playoffs. No, hell no. We're trying to win everything.
Hey,
even if you don't, that's my mindset.
But Lindsay, here, Chuck Brewer, and I love Chuck, and he brings up a great point. Can we be more like the 49ers and just expect to get there instead of having to be like the Cowboys and bragging about, So to your point, I'm vibing you. The feel to that is, yes, okay, maybe take that tact of have the confidence to shoot it out, but have the team and have the confidence like the 49ers. Because can we agree that we like the way the 49ers sort of do it more than the way the Cowboys do it?
That's my team. So, of course, we expect to be in the Super Bowl every year. I mean,
but
that's
can
just
we not act? But so maybe that, like, there it is.
That's how we're built.
But don't you want your Lions to be more of the 49ers then? But you're saying we're not there to the 49ers level. We got to pass the Cowboys level first?
Well, I think you guys have passed the Cowboy level.
Oh,
because
nice.
Yeah. I mean, dude, we know what the Cowboys are going to do every year.
Yeah.
They're going to be okay. They're going to be flashy.
They're going to Iowa. Right? Cowboys are going to Iowa in the Big Ten.
So, is that good enough to get him to the Super Bowl? Maybe he is. I mean, he's a good quarterback. I think you guys have a quarterback that's comparable, maybe a little better because he doesn't turn it over as much. And I think the pieces that the Lions have are better.
Guys,
so I'm thinking
I'm going to break it down.
If I'm a Lion fan.
You already told me. Yeah. You already told me as a San Francisco fan, you have more respect for what the Lions have, and we're closer to getting. We're not where you're at yet, but we're closer to being there. And to say, so the way that Vegas looks at Detroit with odds, the way that the league looks at it, the way that it's ranked on their offense, and all these things. You're telling me, as not only somebody that I respect in sports, but also like your teams and whatever, that we are on our way, and it's not out of. So you're saying it's okay, and we should do it. We're not being pompous.
Because here's the thing: the mentality is this: because you guys haven't won, and there's all these jinxes, and oh man, we're locked. It's like a hesitant feeling with you guys. Like, we can't say Super Bowl. Let's win a playoff game. Hell no. Forget just winning a playoff game. Let's win the whole.
Opened up a new part of stoked and bricked and everything else to a new level of this is way bigger than drafting Grady Dick.
80% of the chat is with Lindsay, ready to talk Super Bowl.
And why not? No, because here's the thing. And here's the difference, because the Lindsay's being genuine as far as what he's saying, coming from cheering an organization that is well respected and expects to get there.
Right.
It's almost like you're giving us the props. Is that look at what you're doing, man. Look at what you've built. So go for it, and then deal with if you don't get there. That's okay. So I think it's just a different mentality, and And that is the ultimate stoked, not scared mentality. So Lindsay Hunter just said, if you're going to be stoked and not scared, you got to be full in stoked.
There you go.
And he doesn't see any reason why you shouldn't be.
Rake says in the Woodward Sports Chat, Lindsay, the problem is growing up a Lions fan, using the words Lions and Super Bowl in the same sentence was like cussing. Oh.
So it's all
kinda
PTSD, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
So what you're saying is, you guys, I understand what you're dealing with, but why not?
Dude, to me, here's the thing. What do you have to lose? Like, if you go all in and say, dude, we're going to the Super Bowl. I'm all on board with the Lions going to the Super Bowl. I'm riding that wave. And let's just say they go out, have a great season, win a playoff game, and end up losing in the conference championship game or something. You've still overachieved, right? Didn't quite get to the Super Bowl, but we overachieved.
Mm-hmm. Right. And take it for what it is. So which you're telling me, and this is awesome for all us Lions fans out there like Rake, who have PTSD and all this stuff, but we're not there right now. What Lindsay's saying is you should, because you can finally see the Super Bowl. If I brought this up to you 5 years ago under Matt Millen and right, you'd be like, bro, right? You would. You'd shoot me straight, and it wouldn't be the same conversation as you, dude. Shoot for the Super Bowl. Yeah, whatever. It'd be a joke. Now you're being genuine and honest of what you expect. Yes. Because now the Lions should swim in these waters.
Absolutely. And even looking at, because I remember being in, doing our shows, and a lot of the fans weren't happy about the draft picks. Why would we take a running back? Mm-hmm. Oh, man, no. Because guess what? They got a plan, and they see what they need, and they know we like that guy. That guy's going to help us. He's a stud. He's part of what we're trying to build here. I'm going to get him. Forget what everybody's saying. Y'all don't want us to take a running back? Too damn bad. We're taking one. And we're taking them early.
Because it goes with what we have.
That's what championship teams do.
Yes, here's the whole thing, right? The championships and the teams that you played and teams I played on, right? It doesn't matter. Anything outside that building is that everybody else can say whatever. It's the same thing as we were talking about, as you going back and picking up Ben's block or whatever like this.
Yes.
Everybody in that locker room believes it, and we're going to add this guy because this is our plan. And sometimes, right, 31 of the 32 teams, end of season plan goes downhill. Only one team wins.
There you go.
But the progress, not perfection, and what building into. So that builds to the hype. So the hype that you're telling me, because it's real, right? Yes. It's real, and everybody. And if you're feeling it in San Francisco, because that's at the top, right? So it's legitimacy. So it's more or less to have the expectations.
Yes. Absolutely, because here's the thing. Hype is only hype if there's no substance. When you got substance, it's more than hype. It's real, right?
Yeah.
I think what you guys have is real. I've watched the latter part of the season. I joke about the Lions all the time because I got buddies that I don't want to be happy. But honestly, it's legit. It's legit.
And you have to call it legit. Why do you know legit? Because you've lived legit. You've played legit, and you've seen legit.
Yes.
Right? When you're watching, it doesn't matter what sports team that you or I watch, or competitor, individual, golfer, whatever like this. Whether they have it, the intestinal fortitude to get over it, the belief in self. Right. Or you can see right there, when you step on a court, if a team believes in each other, or if there's, these two, something wrong, we gonna pick on that right there.
And the thing about it, even the conversations that you hear coming out of the Lions camps are different. Like, we've never heard this many guys, players, say they believe in this coach, say they believe in this culture, and the coaches are just the same, saying these guys come in here and they work and they're serious about what they do. Like, it's a different feel. It's a different, we know as sitting around listening, and you hear different things coming out in the media, what guys are saying. When it's BS. When it's real. And that's all I've heard coming from the Lions camp is, man, these guys are taking it serious. These guys really believe in one another. And guess what? they proved it the last 8 games of the season by how they played. The product was real. So who's to say that product, that those last 8 games, who's to say that product is not going to start the season next year? And we've run the table for the first 6 or 7 games.
And gotten better.
Yes.
And gotten better and improved with guys that you've signed here and all the dogs in the backfield and then everything else and addressing your inefficiencies.
Yes.
So it's good. So we can believe the hype. We're going to talk Amon-Ra St. Brown because expanding his running route tree. I mean, there's more routes that this guy can run. But first, let me tell you about running your running routes to my favorite spot. Oh, yeah. Got to hit the Dispo. Elevate your senses. Embrace the harmony of nature at Dispo Dispensaries. Whether you're a seasoned connoisseur, thank you, or new to your plant life journey, Dispo has over 10 locations with experienced budtenders ready to serve your needs. Visit DispoShops.com today. That is DISPO shops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zuniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
Game is won in the trenches, and our big fellas don't mess around. The Woodward Heavyweights on Woodward Sports.
Stoke, not scared. Stoke, not scared. Super Bowl, said Lindsay. Hunter for Neil Rule, Darren McCarty, Sam Flannel, Spenmo Rocks, just crushing through here on a Thursday. Big D Energy, thanks for joining us. We were talking Lions, and Lindsay was just saying, guys, you got respect from the San Francisco contingency. The hype that we are hearing is real. Why not go Super Bowl? Now, if we are going to make it to the Super Bowl or win a playoff game, win the North, win the first game of the year against Sam Flannel's Kansas City Chiefs. We all know that he loves Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs more than he loves the Detroit Lions. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. That's the narrative anyways that I'm spinning. But one of the guys that's going to have to be, and we expect to be, imperative in success for this year is our boy Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, Spenny, you put something on the sheet here, and I always like your deep dives into that. It says Amon-Ra St. Brown is working on and expanding his route tree.
Yes.
Which the route tree obviously is the routes that he runs. Now, I didn't know that he already, I would guess, has about 80 on his on his resume, but can you elaborate here? Because what this tells me is when arguably your best possession, your best receiver, arguably your hardest working guy, your dog, everything else on your offense is talking about adding things to the repertoire, Lindsay. It's the same thing we were talking about with Wembayama and his 3-point shot at 27%. Right. How long has he been doing it? So what does he actually mean by this, Spenny? Is he going to be taking J-Mo Williams' first 6 games long routes? Is that what we're talking about?
That's what it was hinting at, is that Amon-Ra St. Brown and Antoine Randall have been talking about and working on expanding his deep threat ability, getting more routes in his repertoire down the field. And I don't know if it's because of the lack of a Jameson Williams in the first 6 weeks, or how I saw it is teams know what he likes to do now. They have tape on Amon-Ra St. Brown. They know the routes he likes to run. They know where he likes to break off, what's part of the field he likes to work in. So I think next year you'll see teams jumping on those routes. You'll see teams stepping up, trying to take away those intermediate and short routes. So if he can add, a hitch and go, a hook and go, a 5-yard out to cut up, to throw in, because that's what we've seen from Ben Johnson. What Ben Johnson likes to do with this offense is give you a look, and then work that same look, but do something completely different off of it halfway through the game. So if he's running a 5-yard out, a 5-yard out, a 5-yard out, and then in the third quarter, when he runs that 5-yard out, the cornerback knows he's running that 5-yard out, he goes to jump it, and Amon-Ra cuts it up the field, you lob it over top to him. That's what I see it as, is working off of what defenses are going to try to take away from him next year.
But isn't this sort of like what we were talking about, that if you are a legitimate, want to be a Super Bowl team, your top guys have to be looking for ways, and isn't that respect to the talent of Amon-Ra St. Brown, that he is, when other teams use their defensive scheme, they're going to key in on him? Isn't this what we see with the great receivers in the league, to have that relationship, to be able to audible? You know, how many times we see like Peyton Manning, you know, with the Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback with that look to the outside and that hand sign or whatever, that him and the receiver know to be on point. Is this all the stuff? Because this sounds to me like what you deal with being a San Francisco fan. This is right, Deebo Samuel. Yes. How you gonna work him around? We know what he likes, but how do you take this? Because I think whatever Amon-Ra St. Brown puts his mind to, he will be successful at.
Absolutely, and you know, with J-Mo being out, like Spinmo said, he'll probably be adding some different things to his repertoire, and that'll only help them even when J-Mo comes back. Now you have multiple guys that can be deep threats, you know, without losing the intermediate, you know. So now you really put the defense in a bind, because you got guys, you know, you got weapons all over the field that you can use in different variations, you know, sort of like San Francisco.
That's facts.
Sort of like San Francisco. No, that is facts. But then it comes down to, and we talked about it yesterday, Lindsay, we brought up a stat that PFF, and take it for what it is, but had ranked all the receiving units, right? And in doing that, had not mentioned any of our running backs, which is, like you said, outside narrative. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, well, Jahmyr Gibbs, no, he's going to be our receiving guy, but was ranked 23rd, which we seemed a little low. But with all these different things, to me, this receiving core and the wild card, I know what to expect out of Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Yep. I don't know what to expect out of Jameson Williams. Marvin Jones coming back, you know, true professional, right, stuff like this. To me, it's the wild card in the Khalif Raymond and the stuff that I've seen in Josh Reynolds in the synergies. So they may not be that high, but what are some of the things also too that are next level, that if your players are talking about it and making themselves better to get in the elite, what are some of the other things to look out for? Maybe like at the receiving position, those guys and stuff.
I think, you know, that what's going to really help it, and that's, you know, everybody's going to, before the season starts, hey, we rank these guys right here. That means absolutely nothing, because nobody's caught a pass, nobody's thrown in a pass. But with what the Lions have, though, and because I really like the running back, and I know, you know, he can catch out of the backfield. He's a dual threat back, you know. That'll change fast. That'll change. And you know, they're not giving the quarterback as much credit for what he did at the latter part of the year. He had a great season, you know. So I think all that'll change. They won't be ranked that low when things start happening for them. You know, then once they really get J-Mo back, I think they'll be able to take the top off the defense even more. The intermediate routes will be there, available at will. You know, I don't buy into the preseason crap.
No, because you got to get the put the eyeball test and everything else on that. You know, and there's also too that I firmly believe that who's going to have the most receiving touchdowns on this team? It's a tight end. It's Laporta. I don't think he's getting enough. You know, he wasn't thrown in there too. So I think, and you bring up this point because every time Goff, right? And we talk about game managers or whatever. He's better than a game manager, but why is that? Because Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson, whatever, put him in a situation to succeed, right? He ain't the world beater. He needs to be protected. He needs the speed out of the backfield, right? What we're going to see is Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a healthy upgrade to Swift.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
And stuff like this. So it's so more imperative to that. What are realistic expectations? You know, for you, for like a Jared Goff, and we talked about this like last season, right? Arguably, it'd be okay. He might throw a few more interceptions because
That's
to have
okay,
right to 10 interceptions, but the consistency of what you have in this guy with this offense and stuff like this will make these guys weapons. Do you think the missing of Jameson Williams at the beginning of the year will be a bigger thing or not bigger because they'll figure out a way?
I think it'll hurt them a little to begin the season, but I think they'll work past it because I know he and Goff were working together.
Right.
They were working together off season trying to get that connection going, which you see all the great quarterback receiver tandems. They work together during the off seasons to get themselves to a point where they know the little nuances of their connection is when I do this, if a guy steps here, then you go here, you know. They were getting that. And so that I think that'll put them back a little bit. But I think, you know, when you hear the other receivers say, I'm working on certain things to get better at, he knows that, hey, we need that. We need that
I mentioned this a million times, right? Like in the last few years. And the first thing that came to my mind, even when the Lions were losing in the first year and stuff like this, but was the coaching staff that Dan Campbell put together of ex-players. So you're talking right here. You got Antoine Randall L out there working with Amon-Ra St. Brown, adding, you know, things like this. You got all these, you know, Hank Fraley, the offensive, you know, line and stuff like this. You can't beat guys that have been there. Right? And so much. And I don't know if it's most imperative in football more than it is in the other sports, because it's got to be imperative. You work with a lot of young guys and stuff like this. You've coached before and done that. It just seems, where can you have that impact? On the football field, in the off season, and implementing stuff to smart all-star Pro Bowl guys. This is invaluable, isn't it?
It is, absolutely, because you got guys that a receiver can look at and say, man, he did this. Like, I know what he's telling me is factual. And, you know, football is so, it's just so different because the physicality that's involved, and you know it from hockey, it's a difference when you have to, you know, I'm telling you something that I experienced out here running routes with these guys grabbing on me, and I'm showing you little nuances to get yourself free or little cheat codes.
Same thing with how you used to grab guys' jersey and the hand checking and different. The little tricks of the trade.
Yes, those guys can share those things with them.
And here's the one thing too, and you can speak from experience. It's not the practice that you do more during the year. It's the off season when you're working for 5 days a week for a straight month that you're implementing, you know, structure.
Yes.
Right? And mentality. So you do when you hear from athletes is that, man, I don't think, I just react.
I react. And perfect, you hit the nail on the head. Reacting is the process of doing something so much that I don't have to think about it.
And that's what it is, 1,000,000 times. So the stuff that they're doing in this offseason, OTAs, but the individual practice and the stuff that we hear coming out, these are the things late in the year. You know, when TK85 makes that reception, I get free coffee. That's because we've been working on it. Anyways, we come back, we're going to keep talking about Wings and Pistons. And I got a simple question. Who's got to take the biggest step this year? You know where I stand. But first, let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts, professional technicians who take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. But I need you to call Guardian today. The number, 1-800.
Stay out.
24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as it's needed. But I need you to call Guardian today. The number, 1-800.
Stay out.
Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserve technology that's been proven to work. And people, yes, flesh and blood, Homo sapiens, who have been proven to care. They care so much and are so unbiased. How many straight days of flannel protection have they provided you, Sam Flannel?
302.
302 straight days of flannel protection. If you have something that is business or personal as important to you as Sam's Flannel, please give Guardian a call. Here's the number, 1-800.
Stay out. Instead of the win column, Minnesota Twins, the Tigers are in a pennant chase.
Oh, Jesus.
How long is this break?
Stay out of drafting Jarris Walker, please. I don't love Jarris Walker.
How long is this break?
Like 40, 50 seconds.
Yeah, you're good.
I was going to go to the bathroom.
Stay out of drafting Jarris Walker, please.
In Guardian Alarm, they will have your back. Guardian Alarm, look, security experts. Give them a call.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer. We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m. Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Cruising right along here Thursday. Big D Energy, Darren McCarty, Lindsay Hunter, and for Neil Rules, Fenmo Racks, a Flannel. Sam talking Pistons, big draft, fifth overall choice tonight, 8 p.m. from Brooklyn. Tune in here, woodwardsports.com, anywhere you find Woodward Sports, 7:30, the Pistons boys will be here along with Uncle Terry, seeing who we got. Exciting time moving forward. Also, last segment, we got Lindsay in, so ask Lindsay, you got any questions for the legend? Bring them in. But real quick here, just to wrap up some of the things, is we got the draft tonight for the NBA and next week for the Red Wings. And I know where I'm at, and I think looking at it from, like I do sometimes, from the 30,000-foot view, is I think the Detroit Red Wings are probably a year ahead. But then listening to you, maybe not as much, maybe half a year ahead. Comparing. Now, everybody knows I expect playoffs this year by the Wings. And as you said, Lindsay, as you know it, there's no reason why the Pistons shouldn't be competing for a play-in game and stuff like that if they stay healthy and get things right. So, in saying that, both are headed in the right direction. But I really think next week, guys, next Wednesday, from everything that I've heard out of Steve Yzerman, the fact that we've mentioned it here, he's going to do the best thing for the organization. He'll deal with whatever follow it is, coming back saying, hey, I know what every other team needs or whatever other team wants. Now I got to work with it. He's ready to cook. I told the boys in the back I had to go get my katana sword out. I haven't sharpened that up for a while, but it looks like we're going to battle. So we'll talk about that next week. So I put the Red Wings, obviously, because I play the clock game, and their clock is down, right? So that's what it is. Playoffs next year, slightly ahead, but to your point, depending on the draft and what they get and how it works out with these players, the Pistons are on their way up 75.
Absolutely. To me, and just watching, especially with Monty here, I expect for them to be competing, for a playoff spot to get in the play-in game and possibly upset somebody and get in that AC. That would be exciting for me. I would love to see them with this young core. I think in order for that to happen, Cade's going to have a really breakout season and legitimize himself as an all-star. And those things can happen. And if they do, I think we'll definitely be fighting for a spot.
Sam, what say you as far as, who's got to make the biggest step in your mind?
So I agree with you, D-Mec, that I think this is the year where the Red Wings sneak into the playoffs, and we'll see where they go from there. I think, like you said, they're a little bit ahead of schedule, but they showed a lot last year, and were in a playoff fight up until about the 3/4 of the way through the season. When it comes to the Pistons, I'm not going to say they're going to go to the play-in or they're going to fight for the play-in, but I do think that they can double their win total from last year, which was 17, and go to approaching something like 35 with Cade Cunningham coming back, who I think will benefit a lot from the Monty Williams system. Depending on who they draft or what kind of move that they make in the offseason or even tonight, I could see them making a seismic leap as well. So I guess the question is it a bigger leap to double your win total, or is it a bigger leap to enter the playoffs? It almost kind of sounds like the same. I expect them to both take big leaps.
Isn't it, though? You brought up a great point, right? Because isn't what I had talked about and what I expected to see from Dylan Larkin last year as far as the leadership work into that contract, what I'm expecting, what you said out of Cade Cunningham again this year to get back from that injury or something. So the fact that, and he came off such a promising rookie year, right? And the way that he finished, that maybe that just pumps my brakes a little bit and allowing him, because I want him back on the court forever. Right? Like, okay, you had your time, you figured it out, and to see what we have. Spenny, where are you at as far as this?
It's tough. Like, bigger jump, I think it is the Pistons, because you're going from a 17-win season to hopefully something. But, like, more impactful jump needs to be the Red Wings, because they need to be a team that I don't want to squeak into the playoffs. I want to be comfortably in the playoffs in the last couple weeks of the season. I want them to go out there and see these guys make jumps, whether it's adding a DeBrincat, whether it's bringing in somebody that can be that goal scorer to put on that first line. But I want to see them go from last year, which was they were fighting for the playoffs for a little bit, and then some injuries happened. They fell out of it. Now I want to see them be a force in their conference.
Well, you nailed it. And I don't care whether Sam might be right because of how tough it is, but you gotta make the playoffs. But this isn't a get in next year, get out the year out. This is dropping my nuts in the playoffs and staying there for years to come. Like 15, 20, 25 years like it used to be, which is sort of harder, but it's knowing that you have that foundation that when you go to training camp, we're playing for something bigger. Right? And that's different because you've been in both situations. I've never been in the situation where I didn't go to training camp thinking of winning the Stanley Cup. Whether it was Detroit or Calgary or whatever. So, I mean, it's just that mentality that has to get into that there's no acceptance. Like, missing the playoffs, that wasn't even a question. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And see the mentality what you just talked about. That I think that has to be everybody's approach. Like, when the season starts, regardless to how far-fetched it may be, like your end goal is, man, how can we win a championship? Like,
and the truth of the matter is, there's 8 teams probably that are going there just to collect a paycheck.
Exactly.
And they're guys, that and you don't want to be that team.
No, and the Pistons won 17 games last year, right? 17 games, the worst in franchise history. So, I'm betting on Monty improving tremendously off 17 games. I know he's going to get us, him alone, his impact alone, I think, personally, he'll get us 15 more wins.
Yeah, I was thinking 30, 32.
Yeah,
but here's
that's just his impact.
Because you know what? Because here's the one thing, is that we're going to have a conversation during Pistons' first week, second, third week, and the question would be, you know what their defensive identity is?
Exactly.
And you're going to say, bro, when they do, which off the pick, off the inbounds, whatever it is, which will show me that there's a start. And you'll be saying, oh, no, notice this, and we'll be able to see it. And then the consistency.
There you go.
Right? To me, it's about health. Because that's the one thing that I haven't seen.
That's another thing.
Right? To me, that's the biggest. Once they get beyond that or over that sort of hurdle, so to speak, then I'm 100% that they're going to cook.
Yep. Like Russ. They're going to cook like Russ.
Oh, God. Hopefully they cook better than that.
Let him cook. But isn't it like when you think about it, though, take that deep breath and go back to what somebody said is what the Tigers are in the central hunt. Like, I mean, honestly, you know, with the get right yesterday, shout out to our boy Neil Rule, 43 and 13 43 and 13 now with his get right picks taking the Tigers. But I told you, they make me tune in at some point to see what's going on, right? And then you got the Lions, who we just spent the last hour talking about, you saying Super Bowl. Let's have the Super Bowl expectations. Now we're talking about who needs to make the biggest step. That you're talking about a coach that could come in and make a 15-game increase. That's just the coach. And then again, hashtag Wiser Plan 1919. Guess what? Woodward Sports, Detroit Sports, everybody who loves it, we're coming. Here we come. And also, know this, right? Get your questions in for Lindsay. But your childhood is not over. Your childhood may be over, but playtime is not. Let me get that right. Outdoor Equipment Company is your source for outdoor power equipment, sales, service, and parts, carrying top brands such as Bad Boy, Ellis Tractor, Steel, and more. Servicing the Great Lakes region with locations in Metro Detroit and Greater Lansing. For more information, visit us at OutdoorEquipmentCo.com. Outdoor Equipment Company, your power equipment playground.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, one for you, one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime, sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Let one of our talented, award-winning stylists make you look handsome and clean. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Strawberry Fest is back at Big Boy. Try classic breakfast items like some strawberry hotcakes or mouth-watering red velvet waffle. If you're not feeling breakfast, try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with the refreshing summer splash salad. And don't forget to grab dessert, including their berry delicious classic strawberry pie, deep fried vanilla Oreos, or strawberry hot fudge cake, and more at Big Boy.
Here we are back, Big D Energy, wrapping it up. Lindsay, Hunter, Darren, McCarty, Spenmo, Rax, Flannel Sam. Starting in 2023, that's the outbreak. I think it's the outbreak of being a Detroit sports fan again. I mean, you so pointedly said that we should be, if we're going to wish to win, might as well get the expectations of the Super Bowl, and you played it out how it would make sense. So, big time in sports tonight, starting with the NBA draft. You can catch the Pistons Talk guys, 7:30 here. Uncle T. Foss will be in the building and stuff. Ask Lindsay, Mike G, tougher to defend, Zeke or Joe D?
Oh man, that's
different defending.
Yeah, because man, I'm gonna say in their prime it had to be Zeke,
right? Because like, what was the one thing that you had to, if you're guarding Zeke, one non-negotiable, and then if you're guarding Joe, one non-negotiable?
Man, see, Zeke was a guy that could do everything, like, but the only thing he could post a little bit too. So the biggest thing with him that I always noticed is you wanted to make him keep his back to you, because if he got the ball in front of you, you're done.
Done.
You're cooked.
So it's always just trying, and then those are the little things you're talking about to
Yeah.
make the little bit just as uncomfortable as possible. What about Joe?
So Joe, slightly bigger guard, so Joe could post, and he liked to post, you know. But with Joe, I would always, because he could run the point also sometimes. So, but he didn't like when smaller guards picked him up full court. He hated that. He hated that. So that's like, I would guard him in practice sometimes, and when I would pick him up full court, he would just stop and go, "Come on, Lindsay, not today." He was like, guard somebody else, you know?
Yeah,
so he hated that.
Absolutely.
But those are the things that I used to try to do to kind of mess with him.
Absolutely. David Mensch here. What's the biggest mindset difference between a championship caliber athlete and just maybe an all-star athlete?
The love. Like guys like us loved what we did. Like there's a passion that you have.
You gotta
when
have
you
a
love it.
and it's not necessarily as much for the game as it is for your role.
Right.
Like
Right.
you and dude, I tell everybody, I knew since I was 8 years old what I needed to be for this team, and nobody was ever taking. The only person that was going to cost me my job was me.
Right.
Right. You know, but there was something that no one, and somebody asked me, "Do you ever worry about leaving?" No, because I knew that and then I was willing to go to whatever lengths to maintain that.
That's man, I talk to young athletes all the time about what it takes to be the next level, and they don't understand what you just said is so vital. You were willing to go to any length to be able to do what you had to do to fulfill your role. That is like, it's such a, it sounds like a vague statement, but it's so deep because people don't understand what lengths we will go to get to the point where I can do my job. People don't understand that.
The greatest gift, right, to understand and self-aware and don't lie to the person in the mirror or whatever, is to me to understand that I will accomplish anything I put my mind to. It's being disciplined to not put my mind to certain things. That's why I do so many things, because I have to move off when I'm pushing the hardest. Because we will go, like you say the most ridiculous thing, and if you tell me if that's what I have to do to accomplish it, then it's not out of the realm.
Dude, that's
and people don't understand, and I say that to you matter of factly because I know, because we sort of proven this. I'm gonna another question, but this is great. Rasheed Wallace, a lot of technicals, right? like a lot of technicals. Is it most of the time getting thrown out for like MF and the ref or whatever? But was there any like that? Because sometimes the reputation gets ahead of you
all the time,
right? Like where he didn't deserve it or something, or was there ever any funny ones that?
There was quite a few he did deserve, but I'm gonna tell you the funniest one that, man, I laughed. He had came out the game, and Bennett Salvatore was the ref. And,
that just sounds like you don't want to mess with Bennett Salvatore.
So
I think the story's done.
So Bennett Salvatore had a restaurant. He owned a restaurant, and we're on the bench, and Sheed is just fuming. He was like, he looked, and he said, "I hope your blankety blank restaurant burns to the ground." And I'm like, holy crap, dude, you can't say that. I'm like, damn. And he was like, "I don't give a bleep, bleep, bleep." Dude, I was like, dude, you did not just say that. I said, I hope nothing happens to this dude restaurant. You're going to be the first one that FBI comes to.
Nobody heard. Don't worry, Sheet. Nobody heard. There's no microphones. Real quick, guys, NBA draft tonight. Give me your pick for the Pistons at 5. Go.
Taylor Hendricks.
I want Taylor Hendricks, but I think it's going to be Sir Thompson.
Man, I don't know. Trade the pick.
Trade the pick, Lindsay. And you know me, Big D Energy, Grady Dick. Let's go. That'll be it. Thank you to Lindsay. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm in on a Friday. Holy cow, this Neil Rule, he better tip me real well. Anyways, for Sam Flannel, Spend Mo Rocks, Lindsay Hunter, thanks for joining us today. I'm Darren McCarty. Deuces. We're out. See ya.